I hear you.
All right, we're all live then. We can make this participation like. Cool. Glad you made it. Yeah, nothing like being prepared and then realize, oh, wait, we need a link to the Zoom to actually do everything we're about to do. So we're going to get rolling pretty quick here, guys. All right, I got to find my, let me get out of here. I got to find my screen so I can have you guys all on my screen and see you. All right, while I'm getting my screen shared and getting you guys set up here, anybody who saw this wanted to come to Win with Sellers, what do you want to get out of the next 3 days? I mean, this is power packed. We set it up as an hour. We did this through Ignite, where Ignite was like a day long for each session, and we got it down to an hour. It was pretty power packed. Everybody got great information in that hour. And because it was an hour, it was easier to commit to and get through the whole thing. So we're doing the same thing on these, which is a challenge in itself, to go over 8 chapters, tons of content in 3 hours, and make sure you guys get something usable out of it. So that's what you get to do when you've been training for 20 years. You get to figure out how to make all this work. So I'm on for the challenge. How about you guys? So tell me, like, guys, open up your mics. Let me know what you want to get out of these next 3 days. We're doing Win with Sellers. So obviously you're focusing on your real estate, your listing side of your business because you're here. But really, is there something specific? Because I mean, this class is for you. It's your time. You're the one investing the time to be here. I want to make sure I get something out of it that you're expecting or hoping to get. And if you don't know what you're going to get or don't know what to ask to get, say that too. But let me know what somebody wants to hopefully get out of these next 3 days by attending this. I got to make sure my screen will let me share too. Yep, there we go. What do you guys want to get out of the next couple of days? I mean, just anything. What's your seller business look like right now? And are you here because you want it to look differently or what?
I want to focus on listings. Obviously, I've been only working with buyers. I've had one listing since I've been an agent. I guess I just want to tighten up the screws and kind of get comfortable with my pitch. Introduction, go over what I'm going to go over with them during the meeting, and then obviously that awesome conversation about commissions. You know what I mean? I kind of had to navigate through that and not sound ridiculous doing it and not fumble through it. That's all. I mean, I'm kind of like the full spectrum, Brad, to be honest. You know what I mean?
Nice.
Right. I need the whole thing. So
well, that's cool because this thing covers the full spectrum of the entire seller side of the business. So you are definitely in the right place, Larry. Thanks for sharing. Anybody else want to jump in?
Hi, this is Natalka.
Yeah, Natalka, how are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Great. Good to see you back plugging in again.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it's good to be back. I signed up because I needed more motivation. During Ignite, I was very motivated, and now the holidays have kind of taken over my world. So I figured I better get back to listening to Brad and, jump-starting things so the new year can be a good year.
All right. And you know what? You bring up a good point. Just by attending this stuff and coming back, it does help with that motivation a little bit too. So that is definitely key. Hearing it over and over and over again, which that's why I was going to start with this seller side. Guys, I've lived all this stuff I teach. I actually lived it. I mean, I went to the classes. I've implemented so many of the exact scripts that we're going to talk about today. I built a business selling 100 homes a year. Last year, I think it was like 70 or 75. I haven't even tallied up the numbers yet. And that's with one part-time assistant. And all of this built over a 30-year period started with my first, I think it was my first month in real estate. They had like a listing boot camp at the company I was with when I first got in. And I just went through that course over and over and over and over. I must have taken it a dozen times or so, which is really weird when you hear Gary say, read MREA, how many times? 12 times, right? So I went through that over and over and over again until it was just ingrained in my head because I got a horrible memory. So I didn't want to try to remember everything, didn't want to memorize a script. I just wanted to hear it so much, it just started coming out. So for me, that worked, and became a top listing agent. Selling 100 homes a year, I guess, is a pretty big deal in most real estate agents' world. I feel like I'm the small fish in a big pond because I've got too many friends that sell now 300, 500, 1,000 homes a year, and they're doing it with massive leverage and expansion and even more than that. So anyway, so I'm bringing real true experience to the class with you guys today. And so hopefully I do keep you motivated on it. Anybody else got anything particular they want to make sure they get out of the next couple of days?
Hey, man, this is Gus.
Hey, Gus.
How's it going?
Good. How are you, man?
Good, good. So for me, it's really keeping that pipeline full of sellers and staying and consistently getting 3 to 5 listing appointments a week.
Gotcha. I love it. How are you doing on 5 listing appointments a week?
Not good at all.
No, I mean, you're getting 1 every single week, 2 every single week, some weeks some weeks none.
Correct. Yeah, some weeks some weeks none.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for sharing and being honest about it.
Yep.
All right, cool. So yes, we're going to cover all that stuff. In fact, I'm going to set this up with what I'm going to layer throughout this course the whole time. And it addresses all of your concerns and your issues and what you want to get out of the class, and especially what you just said, Gus, and it's your pipeline. So I'm going to preface this by saying that we're going to talk about it here in a minute, but your pipeline is everybody you already know or who already knows who you are. Somebody who has met you in your lifetime, and you guys have been in your community for however long you've been in your community. You bump into people every single day. And the filter that I want to put on today is just know that every single human being, from the time you leave this, when you hang up this Zoom, the next human being you see is moving in the next 5 to 7 years. And the next human being you meet or talk to or bump into is moving in the next 5 to 7 years, and so on and so on. So here's the issue with our industry, is our industry teaches us and ingrains in us to go find the next deal, find the next deal, find the next deal, right? It's I need my pipeline of 5 people who are ready to list right now. Okay, well, if they're moving every 5 to 7 years, right, that's about 20% of the population is moving in a year. So we're going to talk about this number again, but I just want to cover it now so you see it again in real numbers. If they're moving every 5 years, then 5 out of 100 is, what is that? I guess that's it. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. If you take 100 and divide it by 5, you're going to get 20. So it's 20% of the population is moving every year. Every year. How many months are in a year? 12 months, right? So take 20 for every 100 people the next 100 people you bump into, 20 of them are moving this year. So you got to bump into the 100 to find the 20, but only the 20 divided by 12 only means that 1 or 2 of those 100 people the next 100 people you bump into are probably moving right now. 20 of them are moving over the next 12 months, but only 1 or 2 of them know they're one of the 20 this month. Does that make sense? Oh man, I just uncovered your total frustration with your real estate business so far, didn't I? Because we find 100 or we get gung-ho and it's like, I'm going to get my 5 appointments this week. So if I got to talk to 100 and 1 or 2 of them are moving this month, and if I want 5 listing appointments every week, right, I need to talk to about 3,000 to 4,000 people to find the 5 people that are ready to list right now when I go to the listing appointment, right? Now, there's also going to be 1 or 2 that are probably next month's, 20% that are moving. So those are the people that you might get an appointment with to just kind of prep them and see what's going on, get them set up. And we're going to talk about that too. So that's where the problem lies. Now, if I just said those 100 people are all moving over the next 5 years and 20 of them are moving this year, then from now on, this day forward, and several of you have been in my classes in the Ignite too, is to create where you keep in touch with all 100 of them for the next 5 years. If you do this, you will have 100 sales every 5 years. And how long does it take you to meet 100 people, right? You're going to meet more than 100 people in a year. So if you can meet 500 people in a year, then you're going to have 500 people in your database, and there's 50 to 100. There's probably about 100 of them moving in the next 12 months. So that divided by 12 starts to look really fun, doesn't it? That's 6, 7, 8 sales a month over 500 people. So the pipeline that Gus, that you just talked about, or I think it was even Larry that talked about the pipeline getting that full is going to be keeping in touch with every single person that you come in contact with from now on for the next 5 years. Does that make sense? So that's the secret, guys. That's the way how I can get you to 5 listing appointments a week in a very short period of time, like 6 months. By this time next year, you'll be going on 10 listing appointments a month, every month. Well, you'll probably be going on 10 a week. It's about 20 listing appointments a month for every 1,200 people that you come in contact with. 1,200 people sounds like a lot. What it really is 5 people a day, 5 days a week, that you just are on purpose I'm just going to pay attention to the next 5 people I come in contact with today, the next 5 people tomorrow, and I'm going to get them in command. I'm going to put them on a 5-year drip plan, and they're going to get a call from me 4 times a year for the next 5 years. You do that, and I'm telling you, in 6 months to 12 months, you will be on the path to selling 100 homes a year. It can't not happen. The only way it can't not happen is you skip 5 for a day, and then that turns into 2 days, and then it turns into a week, and then it turns into a month, or you do 1 here, 1 there. So what I know as a coach, tracking these numbers, which is feeding the database. We're talking about all that today. See, now I get to go a little faster through the material because I'm actually getting you guys to comprehend what I'm saying, or at least I hope I am. If I'm not, say something before we move on, if you need clarity on any of these numbers. But when you start doing that, that pipeline gets full. And the best part about it is your phone will start ringing. And this is, I mean, I'm telling you, I'm spoiled. I don't really have to go call and find business to go get listing appointments. My phone rings enough that I'm going on enough appointments every week, every month, that I don't even have to go find business. I've got 4 listings sitting on my desk right now, just in the last 48 hours, where the phone just rang, and it's like, hey, I'm a friend of Aaron, who's your roofer, and I'm his sister, and I got a girl that's been trying to sell her house, and she needs you to come out. Got another lady, it's like, all right, I'm done trying to sell my house myself. She's just been on a drip. I call her, I send her notes. I just sent her a note that said, I thought your house was listed, and I thought you wanted me to help you, but because she had called and said, hey, I wanted to meet with you. I don't know if you want to help me. So her letter was going out that same day, and I just wrote on the note, you know, I thought your house was listed. So if it's not, let's talk. And she called me back before I could even call her. And she's like, hey, I do need you to come out now. And now she's done. So she wants to price it really low. So I'm going to get a fast sale, which, by the way, we've crossed paths probably 8-10 months ago. She went through 2 or 3 different realtors. She was way overpriced. I wasn't going to bug her for that overpriced listing. I'm just waiting for them to wear her down to where she calls me and says, now I want to sell it. And I just took on $1 million listing that way, that where and that's rare for my area. I know that might be common for you guys. I might have to move up there with you guys. But it was $2 million. There is no way this house is going to go for $2 million. I told her she's going to have to sell it to one of the Chiefs players if she wants $2 million, because she knows the Chiefs, right? And she's now gone through 3 or 4 realtors. And this is a past client of mine that I went and met with. And I'm telling you, it's like, I showed her the numbers. She got mad at me a little bit. I was like, why'd you call me in the first place? Because you move properties and you tell me the truth. But she didn't like the truth. So she had to go through 4 other realtors before it got back to me. And now she's listening to everything I'm saying. And we have a contract for her too. So anyway, so those things, it's the long game of staying in touch that will build the pipeline so that you truly, truly can go on 5 appointments a week. So that pipeline is probably just about 6 months away. If you start today, it'll be right what you've been doing for the rest of your career if you keep doing it the way you're doing it. So you can still do your 5 a day, and then you can still go do what you've been doing to find those 5, like calling for sale by owners, calling expired. You can still do that lead generation stuff. But if you bring it into the inner circle on the MREA book of the Mets first, and start with the people who already know who you are, focus on getting on the phone with them, connecting with them, writing a handwritten note, verifying you have their address correct, and then put them on a 5-year drip plan with 4 calls a year in it. That is going to build your pipeline for these listings, and they'll be coming to you. So is that good stuff? Is that a good way to set the tone here, so that as you're listening to this stuff, you can throw back in? Now you're going to want to switch back to old school real estate through a lot of this stuff, and you're going to see a lot of scripts as if you were calling strangers. But start thinking of these scripts in terms of, man, if I could use that script with my buddy that's owned his house for 7 years now, you already know they're going to move in the next few years because they're already at 7 years. I mean, you can just go through your database, and anybody who's been in the house longer than 5 years is your immediate pipeline of Mets that you can get reconnected with to build that really quick 5 appointments a week. All right. And then we'll talk about more of that stuff as we go. All right. Anything else before we jump in? I know I get talking really fast, and we do have a lot of content. So I want to keep it rolling and give you guys as much power-packed information as I can here. You guys can contact me anytime after this class, anytime between the sessions. Well, we're doing 3 in a row here. It's 3 days in a row to get you ready for the weekend, get you ramped up before Christmas. But you guys can call me anytime after any of the classes, or even after the class is over, on anything at all. So anything else? Okay, let's get into it. All right, so if you downloaded your book, it's a thick book. We're going to try and hit through chapter 1 through 3 is the goal today. So we're going to start with 4 tomorrow. And so some of this stuff I may jump around and pop around a little bit. Just follow in the book. And if you have something on a page that you see that you have a question about, let me know. In fact, what you might even do after this session today, skim through chapter 4 through 8, and just put a star next to any page you want to make sure you have a question about, or you see something that you like on there. Okay. So a lot of this stuff has to do with mindset, which I already just talked about that with you guys. You know, where you are in your business. That's what I really wanted to find out, kind of what you're thinking. So, you know, Gus, when you say 5 listing appointments a week, we're not just going to say 5 anymore. If we're going to say 5, we're going to do 5. So if we're going to do 5, then we have to contact enough people to get 5. Otherwise, we're going to make that more obtainable to where you're hitting it consistently. If it's 2 a week, once you get to 2 a week, then you can bump it up to 3 or 4 a week. Because actually, we know in coaching, and I've been in MAPS, I've been in MAPS coach and had all the top agents through me. Lost my wife in 2015, and I kind of had to transition out of that, and whole life change, ripping cart rugs out from under me and stuff like that. And so I'm not a MAPS coach now, but when I was coaching in MAPS, we know that whatever you tell yourself, and then when you don't do that enough, then it just means you're telling yourself things that you want to hear, but you're not really going to do what you say you do. So you're training your brain. If you say 5 and you never hit it, then your brain's just going to tell you, you know, I'm going to always keep trying to do 5. Now set it to where it is 1 a week, every week, no matter what, or I'm writing a check for $1,000 to Coach Corn and I'm sending it to him, telling him to spend it on something really cool and show me what it was. In fact, tell me what you really like, and I'll go buy something for myself that you really like a steak dinner or something, right? So you send me that $1,000 check if you don't get your one that week. And then next week you're like, crap, I'm not sending him another $1,000. I'm going to I'll go do it for free. Go find some seller that wants to talk to you for free. So in your mindset, you know, make sure you're setting goals, not necessarily that are easy, but that are set, that you're going to hold to that and you're going to make it happen. And again, if you need help with that and narrowing that down and figuring out what that is and really staying accountable to it, make sure you let me know. Because today we're kind of hitting this listing side, but there's other things that I can help you with to hit goals, make goals happen, keep them in front of you, all the coaching stuff. And if you have a MAPS coach, that's what you want to say. Is I got a big aha today in Brad's class, and I need to set a goal that's realistic, that still makes me work, and that I can hit every single day. And when I do that for 6 months straight, then I can bump it up. And when I do that again, or 30 days straight, then you can bump it up again if it looks like you're going to do it again. So just watch how you talk to yourself as well. And when we say make 5 connections a day and write 5 handwritten notes a day, man, that is the best one thing you could do right now, is just start connecting with 5 people a day, because you already know they're all going to move in the next 5 to 7 years. So you're already building your business up that way. So you won't have to work on this grindstone that you've been fighting through up to this point. So when you interview the top agents and you ask them what their biggest challenge is, it's invariably they're going to tell you it's mindset. So you got to stay focused and positive. I'm telling you, and this isn't downplaying anything that you probably heard before, but you know, another no is one closer to a yes. Another no is one closer to a yes. Another no is one closer to a yes. But man, those no's get wearing on you. And if you've been through bold at all and you do 100, you do the bold 100 and you do that in a day, I mean, you really have to have 200 numbers on your list to get 100 people to answer the phone. It might even be about 250 really, to get 100 people to answer the phone. And if you've ever done a bold 100 or you heard anybody do a bold 100, you probably didn't hear anyone say, I got 20 listing appointments out of my bold 100. No, they got 3, they got 2, they got 1, might have gotten 5, 5 appointments at the most. And that's because you're saying, like we said earlier, 1 or 2 probably know they're moving, 1 or 2 are thinking about it. And for the other ones, your goal was to get an appointment. So you're like, hey, I'm just testing a new market analysis formula. Can I come just tell you what the value of your house is? So that's kind of what you're doing during bold. But very seldom do you hear somebody that set 15 appointments or 20 appointments in a week. It's because it's not going to happen and they're not moving that fast. But although that is a good script, if you really got to get your 5 appointments a week, a really good one is, we're testing a new value formula for houses with this current market and the shortage of homes. And I would love to just give you a free value on your property. So now the purpose of that is to get the appointment, not necessarily to get the listing, although you will be planting a seed to get a listing. So write that down if that's a good idea. It's like with the shortage of homes, I'm actually calculating values of properties now to see what your value might be in this market, and based on the shortage of homes. And do you mind if I just come test it on your house? So then you can just do your CMA, go meet with them and say, here's the numbers that I ran. Do your CMA like you did, right? And see what they say. And if they say, dang, my house is worth that. Or they're like, yeah, I know we thought that too, but I think we wouldn't sell if it wasn't higher. Or they will tell you, I thought my house was more worth this. So you get to evaluate how you're pricing homes. So Larry, you made a good point. I just talked to a top agent in one of our Topeka, Kansas offices yesterday. And he was telling me, he was starting to beat himself up on his listing appointment or his listing presentation. And he said, yeah, I've sell 100 homes a year. I'm used to being able to do a market analysis. And in Kansas, it's a lot more stable market than like what yours may be. You might have $1 million homes next to $500,000 homes. And actually what I've learned from you guys is it is more of a neighborhood setting where you guys are. So you don't have too many wide variations like I would think it might be in New York or something. But he said, I used to be so confident about pricing because, you would find 3 to 5 or 10 homes just like the one I was sitting in, and they all sold within a $10,000 or $20,000 price range. So it was real easy to price homes. Today, the sale prices are way off. They're way lower than the pending prices, and the active prices are way higher than the pending prices. So it makes it harder to do pricing. So it's a great script for you to use. So the thing that we're going to go through today, and you guys just flash your mic or unmute yourself. I'll watch for it if you need to talk, and I'll try to take a breath and let you jump in if you have a question. Or you can also raise your hand. There's like a little hand raising thing on your remote somewhere. But this is something that's in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, and it's about models versus creativity. We're all independent contractors. We all like to be creative in things we do. We like to have fun with what we're doing. We don't like clocking in and clocking out like an employee. So just know that if you get the models down first, the models are the 4 laws of lead generation. This is lead generation, whether it's sellers or buyers. is build a database, feed it every day. So that's your 5 a day. Feed it every day, communicate with it systematically is the third one. And then the fourth one is to service all the leads that come your way. What most agents do is they have a database and then they try to service all the leads and they don't feed it every day and they don't communicate with their database systematically. And those are the 2 key things that are going to build your pipeline. So go back to the model. The model is build a database, feed it every day. Don't get creative. Don't like say, feed it every day. Okay, I'm going to buy leads from realtor.com and they'll guarantee me 5 get dumped into my database every single day. That's not feeding your database every day with relationships. It's feeding your database with habit mets. And habit mets are a 50-to-1 return. Mets are a 12-to-2 return. This is all MREA jargon. So if you open up page 133 through 148, write that down. Page 133 through 148 in the original MREA book, you're going to see that bullseye and the conversion rates for Mets versus habit Mets. So a lot of times we like to say we want to be in the Met world because it's a 12-to-2 return. And in the 12-to-2 return world, it's 8 touches in 8 weeks and 33 touches a year, 8 by 8, 33 touch, right? But in the habit Met world, as an internet lead coming in, is actually supposed to be on a 12 touch. You don't get to put them on an 8 by 8 and 33 touch. You haven't met them yet. You haven't connected with them yet. So, and many times your current relationships in your database, you haven't talked to them for 6 months or a year or 5 years. So really they're back into the habit met. You shouldn't put them on an 8 by 8 or 33 touch until you've talked to 5 people a day, wrote 5 notes a day, and then started that. So I really wanted to spend extra time on that because it is so critical to everything that you're going to go get through this book. Once you start doing that, see all the stuff that I'm going to share with you today, there's no way you're going to remember all of it today. There's no way to remember all this stuff today. I could even take a whole day and deliver these 3 chapters and you still wouldn't remember any more in that whole day than you will in this hour, because you're going to come back to these things. The idea is to hear these things and know that they're there so that when that thing comes up and it's like, oh, there was some, I know I heard something I could have used there. You're going to have ways to come back to it. So these are the models that we're talking about. So it just shows the 7 steps on my screen. Hopefully everybody can see it okay. And it's in your book, the 7 steps to the service cycle. And that's the lead conversion, the pre-listing, the listing consultation. These are the models: servicing and marketing, offers and negotiations, contract to close, and post-close systems. So guys, don't worry about all this stuff right now. You're on your lead conversion start of your business. As you start getting listings, then you're going to want to pull like this recording back up and watch where we covered about pre-listings and advance to it. We're going to cover the listing consultation. We're going to cover the service, the marketing. So as you come across these things and you start getting these opportunities, that's when you're going to pull up and just give yourself an hour to go back through that material and find that stuff. Most of it you can Google the listing consultation or pre-listing packet if you're going to do a pre-listing packet. So we're going to talk about the full model. And then as your business grows, you'll start plugging these things back in. You don't have to worry about trying to figure it all out right now. But the real point I want you to get out of that slide is don't wing it. Don't just wing it. Making calls randomly, you're winging it. You're just kind of having conversations. You don't have any scripts in front of you. So somebody says, yeah, okay, I'll get my value. And then you're winging it. And you're like, all right, what do I do now? I guess I pull some MLS stuff up, grab a couple flyers, throw it together. I'm going to run out and meet them. So don't wing it. There's a model and a system for everything you're doing. If that opportunity comes up, there's plenty of people in your market center. You'll be able to get a hold of me. I'm going to find my chat here before we leave and give you my cell phone. I think I have all of your guys's emails, so I'll send you out my contact information for everyone who registered or is on the spreadsheet. And if you don't get anything from me, then you can reach out to me. I'm real easy to find. Corn with a K, like the band, right? All right, so the mindset actions, change your actions, getting the most out of this experience. Guys, I just want you to think about the way you've been doing it. Take the information that we're going to zip through this stuff, but you're going to hear things that man, maybe that's the next step, that I need to just do something different than I've been doing before if you're not hitting your numbers and your goals, right? So hopefully you guys will pick up a few things out of some of this stuff that we covered today. All right, so in here, let's see here. Let me catch up to my slides here. Conversion. There we go. All right. So it looks like we're in page 18 in my leadership book. I usually I need to print the student book out so I can make sure I have you guys on the same page. But it's 18 in my book, conversion ratios. Guys, it is important for you to know how many contracts do you make, or how many contacts do you make a week? How many of those meet your definition of what a lead is? And a lead is different than what I'm talking about when I'm saying make 5 contacts a day. Because when I'm saying add 5 people a day, the first thing most people say is, where am I going to find 5 sellers every single day? That's not what I said. 5 people a day, knowing that they're moving sometime in the next 5 years, is just people. It's connections, it's relationships. Now, once you do that, now you need to look at, okay, so I know I'm probably going to have to call 100 people, just cold blue out of the blue, to get 3 people to meet with me. So you're going to have over 100 people that you get on the phone. You're going to get 30 that don't hang up on you. You're going to get 30 or 40 that just, they don't have that time for you. They want to get off the phone as soon as possible. But you get 30 that'll be real nice to you and talk to you. And 1 or 2 or 3 of those people might just want to meet and see what their value of their home is, if you're using scripts and you're being on purpose and you're not winging it, right? So and again, we're doing this in an hour. So it's not like a session where we're going to spend a lot of time on scripts. We're going to do all that stuff. I do want you guys to work on the scripts. Their scripts are in your book. And there is going to be some investment for this hour session, is to highlight the things so that you point something out and put a star next to it to go, that's a script that I need to memorize. And you can call me and say, hey, I want to memorize this script. That was good stuff today. I really like this section, or this is what I need to master next. Tell me that. Shoot me an email. Let me help you stay accountable to that section of the book, because there will be some things that happen outside of this course. This is like the this is like the jet version. We're blowing through here at light speed, so you can grab onto the couple of things, and hopefully you printed out the book or you have it handy to where you can make a note that this is a section that I need to find next. So tracking your conversion rates is going to be important, because in the book, we have all this stuff that we can say, you know, if you get 10 appointments, 8 will list with you, 6 will sell. So here's how many appointments you need. What you need to know is what your conversion rate is. So if you're looking for those 5 listing appointments a week, then you got to start tracking, how many people do I need to call to get 5 people to say yes? And it's tally sheets. Just start calling as many numbers as you can. In fact, if it were me, and if I had set a goal, and this is nothing against your goal, Gus, and I'm not pulling you out on this, but if I said I wanted 5 listing appointments a week, and I know my brain says if I'm going to make that commitment, that's what I'm going to do, then I would start day 1, Monday, is 8 hours on the phone, because I don't know what my conversion rates are at this point. So I've got to call for 8 hours in one day and see how many appointments I get. Right? Then it will kind of give me a little bit of an idea on day 2, how many I might need to call once I know my conversion rate. I already know if I call 100, that's going to be 5.5 hours. So I can't call more than 150 people in an 8-hour day. It's just, I've done bold 100 every time I take bold, and I've never been able to get 100 calls, like 2-way conversations, done in less than 5 hours. And it usually generates 1 or 2 or 3 appointments, right? So once you figure out that conversion rate, that's how many hours you're just going to have to be on the phone. If it's 1 appointment per 100 and I want 5 listing appointments a week, it is 5. I need 500 numbers on Monday that I'm calling. And it's 100 on Monday, it's 100 on Tuesday, it's 100 on Wednesday, it's 5.5 hours a day, 5 days that week, which, by the way, what is that? 5, 10, 20, 25 hours of work in real estate to get 5 appointments. Not a bad gig if you think about it, especially in your guys' market, right? Is this good stuff so far?
I have a fast question.
Yes.
So 500 calls. So you're calling everybody you know in your database, and the for sale by owners, and the expireds, and who else? That's a lot, 500. Just wondering who you, yeah, who you calling?
That is a lot, and it's everyone. It's going to have to be everyone, because how many times have you taken bold?
Once.
Once.
Mhm.
And what you found was it's 20 calls a day during bold, right? So it's 100 calls a week.
Right.
And the first week, there was a pretty good list of numbers to call from, right? So
Yeah.
you had a list that you could actually pull 20 calls off of if you really did the 20 calls, right?
Right.
Week 2, where'd the list go? We're only on week 2.
The list shrank.
It shrank because you just called 100 people, right? And so you might have 50 on week 2. Week 3 is horrible because you have nobody. You spend more time figuring out who to call that there's no way to get 20 done. So this is what I'm talking about when you're focusing on your 5 a day. Like, you have a list of people that you can tap into. And I know I've shared with you the master list, grabbing a spiral notebook, right? Master list and marker on the front of the notebook. I'm talking like Walmart, college bound little lines, right? The notebook. Open up your Facebook page and start writing down every name on your Facebook friends list into this notebook. And then in that notebook, you're going to go see if you're just going to look at the name now after you've written everybody's name down. And you want to take it one step further to make sure you have your 500 a week, and you can go past 1 week, right? Then open up your phone and write down every number or name in your phone, in your contacts list, into that notebook. And then go into your call out, your calls that went out, the numbers you dialed out, start writing down all those names and numbers. And then go to your incoming calls, write down all those names and numbers. You want to keep going to make sure you have a master list to do 5 appointments a week. Just keep going. Go to your email box, pull up your inbox, and go as far as you can through your sent folder and as far as you can through your inbox, and write down everybody's name, whatever their email is or their name or whatever shows up. So now you're going to have 5,000 names in this book. Every single one of you would have, if you use those sources, you're going to have 5,000 names, and it's people that you've talked to, like sent you an email, you sent an email, somehow they know you. Now there's some junk in there too. There's some real estate agents in there. There's all that other stuff, right? But then in my notebook, I'm going to now, when I see that name or see that email, I'm going to go back through those same steps again to see if I have their phone number. I'm going to see if I can find their address, and I'm going to fill that into my notebook. So if I took 1 hour a day and just worked on my master list, filling in phone number and address, more importantly, because it starts with a phone call and then their address to write the handwritten note, so you can put them on an 8x8, so you can capture 2 pieces of business for every 12, right? That's how you're going to capture it and get the phone coming back. That 50 to 1 is just blasting stuff out and not really connecting with them and hoping they'll call you one day. And that's always going to be a 50 to 1 return, which is less than 2%. So that's the difference here. So if you spend the time and invest in this master list, then you will always have as many people to call as you have in your notebook. And every day, I don't even have to think about it. I mean, it's such a great question, because now I can just open up my master list and I just start with the first person that I have a phone number and an email for. And if I actually get through, if I spent time, an hour every day working on that list and keep adding in more phone numbers and addresses till you get them for everybody you can get them for. Once I called through all the numbers that I had an address for, because then I can ask them, are you still living on XYZ Street? Oh, honey, we moved from that one 10 years ago. Oh man, I missed another one. So, but then it's like, oh, where are you now? And I get the address. So now I've connected. Now I write the note. Now, in that process, you're still going to find the same 1 or 2 that are thinking of buying or selling right now. Hey, it's really weird you called us today. We just started talking about wondering what our house is worth. But instead of calling strangers, we're calling people we know, right? And once I get done with that list, if I need more, I can go to expireds. I can go to for sale by owners. And we've talked about a lot of that. And we will talk about that again in Ignite that we're starting in January. So Ignite, we're going to drill down on some of these things we fly over today, and we're going to get really detailed on those in the seller section. So Does that answer your question that I just told you how to have the list for 500 calls a week?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun, but neither is calling strangers. I mean, I would rather do what I just told you guys than calling strangers, because that's what I call the grindstone. It is not fun. This one will build a pipeline, and then you stay in touch with them. Feed it every day. Number 2 of lead generation. Number 3, step 3, third law is stay in touch with them systematically, consistently, persistently. And then over 5 years, you'll get them all. So it's building an incredible pipeline of business. Make sense?
Yes, yes, thank you.
All right, cool. Was there somebody else that wanted to jump in on something on that? All right. So I almost don't care if we can get through chapter 3 today, because we're going to get through it all in 3 days. But would you guys agree this has been good to hear? I mean, I'm telling you where the sellers are. Okay. So again, I'm gonna go through quickly on some of these basic things that I know you've heard before. Leads, listings, leverage. Guys, it is about leads first. That's why it's on the bottom. You get enough leads, you're going to get listings. And then when you get enough listings that you're really busy, you're going to get leverage to help you with that. Now, I'm going to tell you right here, the leverage piece is if you leverage yourself at all for anything, always do more leads. Like whatever time comes off of your calendar, because you got so many listing appointments that you were running out of time, as soon as you leverage off the 80% stuff that gives you more time back, make sure you put more leads back in there. I've been coaching top agents for a long time, all agents for a long time. And what we end up doing is replacing that time with the stuff we like to do, but it's not lead generation. It's like a 4-letter word, lead. It's not a 4-letter word. And when you work your relationships from the inner circle and have that phone ringing back to you, it's not lead generation, it's lead cultivation. And it's really just relationship cultivation. And when everybody moves, you're so top of mind, they're going to call you. Okay, here's the opportunities. We already talked about these numbers a little bit based on the 100 people. And I just used a little higher number because I've had people say that people are staying in their houses 10 years. I've had people saying 5 years. It's been as low as every 3 years. And 7 years, 5 to 7 years is what NAR says. So if people are moving every 5 years, just know that these numbers I'm about to share with you, you're going to get more business from this number if they're moving every 5 years. If they're staying in their house 10 years, you're going to get a little less. But look at how basic this is. At 100 people moving every 7 years, that meant 15 of those people are moving next year. But of those 15 divided by 12, it's only 1 a month. So man, that's a hard, you don't want to talk to 100 people a month. You're only going to have 1 appointment a month. So you got to bump that up. And at 5 a day, 5 days a week is 100 people a month that you're coming in contact with and connecting with and writing notes to. But then you're going to do the same thing next month. You're going to add another 100 next month and do the same, another 5. But you're also going to keep in touch with the first 100. So now in 2 months, I've got 200. In 3 months, I've got 300. In 12 months, I have 1,200 people. So look at that number. The next column over, 1,000 people. So we're talking in a 12-month, a 10-month commitment on your part. If you really did 5 a day, I'm going to bank you run into some struggles and you might not do 5 a day very well for at least 2 months in the next 12 months if you're really focused on this and you're making it your one thing. But if you make it your one thing, 1,000 people in 12 months at 5 a day, missing 2 months, moving every 7 years. So if they're moving every 5, your number is going to be better than this. That's 142 people that are moving in the next 12 months. Guys, all of you right now, if you put 1,000, if you do 5 a day every day for the next 12 months, you will blow. You realize what your standings would be in your market center if you're closing 12 deals a month. I mean, you watch your awards, right? I mean, as an individual agent, if I get 6 listings 1 month because I was lazy and I slacked, I'm like the top agent out of 580 agents in my office. That's crazy. So all it is 5 a day to get this done, and you will be on your 5 appointments. 1,000 people in 12 months, 7 years. You just did a good job at your 5 a day, and you stayed in touch with them. 8 touches in 8 weeks, and you did whatever it said to do. These are smart plans. They're already in there. In fact, I got a really good smart plan for you to reconnect with everybody in your database that you guys can download out of the library and start this right away. And remember, we're separating this a little bit. We're still talking about seller listings, and we're still going to get the 1 or 2 or 3 appointments per 100, but we're going to do it with the people that already know who we are. And that's going to make those appointments a lot better. I think Larry might have even talked about the commission, right? Dealing with the commission. When people are calling you and you're known as their expert, you won't have the commission objection as much. If I told you what I charged in Kansas City on $150,000 average price range, take whatever you charge and add either 1 or 2% to it. That's what I charge on every single listing, and I never have to defend it because there's value brought behind it, and they were referred. And I mean, the listing that I just took, the $1 million one, she's been through 4 agents. Not one of them charged what I charge, and they didn't get the job done. She's paying whatever I charge her right now, but I charge the same thing for everybody. And it's mostly because I pay out the co-op a little more. I pay out 0.5% higher to my co-op agents because I know that 80 to 90% of all sales are through a co-op agent. I don't know if you can do that in your market or not. When I expanded my team in Lincoln, Nebraska, those brokers, I could offer 3.5% to my co-op agents, and the brokers only paid them 2.76%. They didn't even get 3% of they didn't get half the commission. The brokers kept everything over 2.76%. That's just how they do things in Lincoln. So that got me no benefit for that, where here in Kansas City, every agent, we're talking 10,000 agents, they know when they see a quarantine listing, it's like, dude, Brad always pays 3.5%, always pays 3.5%. I'm going to show his listing. I did that over 30 years where I built that in there. So anyway, this isn't necessarily about that, but I'm just saying that when these people start calling you back and you do what we're talking about in this first 30 minutes of the day, and you do it that way and your phone's ringing, you'll already eliminate that one thing. All right, any questions? I know I'm moving fast. So pre-qualify your listing lead. I mean, again, this is willing, ready, and able. And what I can tell you is that this, again, is in the world where you're flying through as many calls as you can, and you're looking for the person that crisscrosses right in the middle of all of those. And that's where we get into all the qualifying questions and all this other stuff, which we're going to cover because you guys are still calling to get that listing, When you're first new in real estate, or you're trying to build your business, getting your real estate license and everything put you in the hole. So now you got to get out of the hole as fast as you can. So it's all about, I need listings. So I got to find the people that are most likely ready to move right now. And there's definitely ways to do that. In fact, if you've been through any of the Ignite classes, we talk specifically how to find the people that are most likely to say yes, so that you can bump your percent from 1% out of 100 to maybe 3 or 4 or 5% out of 100. And it's a real simple thing might be, if I'm calling for sale by owners, or if I'm calling expired listings, I might call expired listings who bought their house 5 years ago and haven't done, and that expired a year ago. So let me say that again. If it's an expired listing and they bought their house 5 to 10 years ago and they expired a year ago, and they're still in the house and they're still listed on the tax record, so they've been in their house 5 to 10 years, they tried to sell a year ago and it didn't happen, they are like jonesing to move. They are ready to go. So I can pinpoint those. Now, I'm not going to have as big of a list, but you have a pretty good sized list depending on how wide your area is, right? So another one would be for listing appointments is when National Board of Realtors, National Association of Realtors says that people move within 5 miles of where they currently live. And they usually buy up 50% from where they were. So a $200,000 property, a buyer would buy a $300,000 house. In your market, if it's a $400,000 property, they're going to move up to a $600,000 house within 5 miles of where they currently live. Knowing that and skewing the numbers in my favor to help Gus get these 5 listing appointments is I'm going to go wherever there's a brand new listing at 600,000, I'm going to do a 5-mile circle, and I'm going to pull up the neighborhoods that are around 400,000 or maybe 300,000 5 years ago, right? $300,000 5 years ago is now about 400,000, and they'd be buying a $600,000 house. So I just skewed everything in my favor to pull up all those people and figure out who they are, where they are, go knock on their door, do whatever I have to do, because I've skewed the opportunity of me getting that listing appointment in my favor versus calling cold. Does that make sense? So when you're looking for ready, willing, and able, here's the big thing. If you don't capture every single person you meet from this day forward to get them into your database, and I'm going to slide over to the side of this and look at the cultivate, just know that 98% of the people that you capture into your database, 98% are going in cultivate. And 98% of the cultivate are not thinking about buying or selling right now. So you don't need to send them a whole bunch of real estate stuff. You do not put these 98% of the people on an all real estate sell your house drip plan. You put them on a relationship plan of some sort, like an 8x8 and a 33 touch. And again, we can break that down. We will talk about that in more detail in the Ignite class that we start in January. So I hope that this might even be just even a faster, quick overview to go, man, I need to commit to Ignite when we start that in January. I think it's January 7th, because we're going to go through what those touches might look like when you're doing your follow-up. But it's a cultivate, because they're not moving right now, or you would have had to connect. Well, you're going to connect with everybody that you're adding into your database. You're going to talk to them. There, you can have a not connected, which is an internet lead that gets fed into your database and goes on an internet drip plan. And that, if you haven't met them, not connected, should probably be on a 12-touch email drip if they're an internet lead until you get them on the phone. In fact, we're going to talk about phone calls too. You want to get to those as soon as possible. But once you connect with somebody, you're cultivating 98% of them. The people that are ready or thinking about doing something, if they're in the 1 or 2% that's doing something now, they'll tell you you're going to get an appointment. So successful lead conversion outcomes, the business building conversations aim to achieve these goals, getting the appointment, getting the referral. And again, 98% of the people are not moving right now. So if you're not going to, if you're playing that game, keep that in mind with what we're talking about here. This is finding the next piece of business. You're going to get an appointment or get a referral. Well, if you haven't talked to people in 5 years, they're not going to give you a referral. I mean, how many times have you said, you know, hey, this is Brad calling, Keller Williams, calling to see if you're thinking about buying or selling. And most of the time they say what? Well, no, we haven't been thinking about it, because 98% of the people aren't. And then we're saying, we're following the script. And it's like, okay, well, do you know anybody else that is? It's like, well, no, 99.999% of the time they say no when you use this script. Sometimes you get a referral. That's why we ask, right? But if you took that one step further and go, you know, I haven't even talked to you in like 6 months, or it's probably what's it been, 2 years. I didn't really expect you to know anybody. But I tell you what, do you mind just keeping your eyes and ears open over the next week? If anybody's talking about real estate, will you remember me and maybe give me a call and let me know that they were talking about it? Oh yeah, sure, I'll do that. So I'm going to get about 25% of those people, if I follow back up with them in 5 days, say, great, I'll give you a call in 5 days and see if you heard anybody talking about real estate. Now they're committed because they already said they'd help you. Yeah, sure, that's fine. Well, they just gave you permission to call them back in 5 days. What are they going to say? No, don't call me back because I'm not going to send you any business. And I've never heard that in my entire life. So I'm going to call you back in 5 days to just see if anybody's talking. Yeah, sure. So then you call them back in 5 days. In fact, take it one step further. Drop them a note in the mail that day and say, it's going to take 2 days to come to him in mail, and write in the note, thanks so much for agreeing to look for people talking about real estate this week. Look forward to talking to you in a couple days. And then you schedule a call for day 5 or day 6 or day 7, whatever it is. And then you call them up. I'm telling you, between the time they get the note and your phone call, they actually are listening for people talking about real estate. And 25% of those people will give you some sort of lead. It won't be a great lead. It's going to be, my neighbor's been acting weird. I think he might be. Since you and I talked, it kind of looks like he might be thinking about moving. Great. What's your neighbor's name? If you see him, will you tell him that you gave him my number, and I'm just going to call him to see if he wants an updated value on his house. So that's being on purpose, like really going to the next level. How many of you wrote that down? How many of you thought, oh my gosh, that was great, right? That's how you take scripts and you tweak them until you really get the results you want. Because I know just using the straight script the old way did not get me that many referrals. All right, we got about 5 minutes left. I knew this was going to be a challenge, but has this been good so far? Or do you guys need me to stick to the material more? I mean, I am sticking to the material, but I want you to get usable stuff out of this. Is this do you like this speed and process and the content so far?
Yes.
All right, all right. I got a couple yeses, 3 more. Yep. All right.
Right, can I ask a question real quick? It's
Absolutely. I've been waiting for you to ask this question.
I took the Ignite class, so I've been sending letters out to people. Lately, though, my letters aren't getting there in a timely manner, and we all know the reason for that. Obviously, snail mail. So,
yeah,
I've been making calls to people, and they haven't even received my letter yet. So, like, how long do you normally wait before you pick up the phone and call them after you've sent the letter? Or do you send it after you speak with them? Like how?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So you're talking about on the You're talking about on the reconnect plan too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, where you're saying, hey, I haven't talked to you in a while, I'm going to give you a call in a couple days. Yeah, so snail mail, what you do is you mail yourself one. But always put you on your plan first. In fact, put you and a couple of your friends or your family members on it and mail them all the same day and see who got it when. Okay, that's one way that I do that.
Great idea.
Figure out what snail mail time is. And if it's 5 days, then your call is going to be in 5 days. You're going to have to adjust it. So you're right. It did slow down for a while, but I think in general, it's probably pretty much back to normal. I don't know. I haven't mailed myself anything in a while, and I'm going to do it today.
I had two in a row, 2 conversations in a row where they're like, oh, I didn't get your letter. Oh, you know.
So what Larry's talking about is a reconnect letter to get you to call your database and everything. You start with A and go to Z, send them a letter and say, hey, I apologize. I haven't talked to you in a while. I'm going to give you a call in a couple of days. And then you schedule a call a few days later. So it's usually for me, it was 3 to 4 days later. Understand, I haven't had to do a reconnect plan for 30 years. I had to do it once. Actually, I had to do it about 25 years ago is when I finally heard this stuff and I got it. And I started reconnecting with my whole database and everybody's on a plan now. So now I did turn my business over to some people while I was expanding another big team around the country, and they let plans stop. And so now I actually am, for the first time in 20 something years, going to have to do a reconnect. We're just digging back through the database, and this is all next week. In between Christmas and New Year's is my database cleanup week. And I have so many past clients that are on no plans because whoever I turn, the people I turned my database over to really weren't working my plans. They just let them all end and didn't keep them going. That's the first time in 20 years that's ever happened. So the business is so top of mind though, because it's been for so long that I'm still getting the calls, like the 4 I told you about at the beginning of the class. So guys, what I was talking about on that reconnect plan is a letter goes out, you make the call. Now, what I'm going to say to that is the letter is not critical anyway, because you still talked to them and you still connected with them, didn't you?
That is correct. Yes.
And you could still write the handwritten note. And it doesn't matter if they got the letter or not.
That is correct.
The letter is for us. It's a trick. It's a trick that I figured out it was a trick because I did it. And I was like, oh, this is a trick to get me to make the call because I said I was going to call. So I say in the letter, don't take out PS, I'm going to call you in a couple of days. Because when you put that in an envelope and mail it, you schedule the call. You're like, okay, I'm not blowing that off because I sent them a letter that said I would call. And see, what people will do is they'll take that out of the letter and then they don't make the call and then nothing happens anyway. So you made the call. That's what was most important. It probably doesn't matter if they get the letter or not, because now you're going to send a genuine handwritten note to follow up your conversation. And now you just started this part, the capture part. All right, so I'm going to pull this in and we're going to actually just make sure I got through chapter 1 at least, because as we go through here, you guys, now that you're set up, you're going to catch some of this material a lot quicker. But when it comes to actual seller content, so let's just say I call that 100 and the one guy who is like, yeah, I think we are thinking about what our house is worth. I have yeller for seller for all of you that went through Ignite, and I have them just sitting right here by my desk. I got blue for buyer, yeller for seller, and then green for investors because I'm going to make more money on investors, right? So, but whenever somebody says, yeah, we are thinking about what we were wondering what our house was worth, that's a yellow seller. Or if they said they were buying, which we're not on that class right now, but I got my blue one right here. I can just pull that out and I look for these colors whenever they say buy or sell or buy. All I got to do is grab one of these and then that's my intake form. You have one in your book. And this is called the capture part. It's like, great, just let me get some basic information so I can run some numbers and let's figure out a time to get together. So as I go through the process, I'm gonna get their name, verify their address, get their cell phone number, their email, and then tell me about your house. Okay, is there any extras? That kind of stuff. That's the capture. Anybody who goes on one of these goes in the database instantly, and they get a handwritten note instantly. And that kicks off the 8x8 and 33 touch in my plan in my database. So this is funny too. In the material, and I don't know which page it's on, but if you're following along in your book, under lead conversion, capture techniques that work, 10 days of pain. This is me. They got this from me. It's the 3x3. It's 3 calls in 3 days. So you call them morning, afternoon, night, morning, afternoon, night. This is like what we do with an internet lead. When we got an internet lead coming in, I'm not going to do this with my database that we've been talking about. I'm going to do this with an expired or a FSBO or whatever. Anytime I capture a lead, I'm going to call them till I get them on the phone 3 times a day for 3 days straight. Your conversion rate will go from 1 or 2% to getting them on the phone and into your database to 15 to 20%. And it won't be until the 6th or 7th or 8th call that they actually take your call. Now you think they're about ready to chew your head off and just chew you up and spit you out. Most of them are just like, I am so sorry we weren't able to call you back. Yeah, we had some stuff going on, because my other 6 calls in front of it were not scripts so much. The first one was, this is Brad Corwin, Keller Williams. You were inquiring about a property, or you were on a website, or you were on this or that. My second one is, it's in the afternoon, it's just a few hours later. Hey, it's Brad Corn over at KW. Nothing urgent, just following up, see if I could catch you. The third one is, hey, it's just the end of the day. I thought I'd try you one more time. Tomorrow, it's like, hey, this is Brad Corn at Keller Williams again. I left you a couple messages. I know you're probably busy. It's no big deal. You can call me back whenever you're free. The next one is afternoon, second day, is just, hey, just real quick, Brad Corn again. Click. The third one, or the 6th one, now you can start having fun, because when I went through this, my caller was like, well, what do I say after 6 times? Just say, hey, now I'm a little concerned that I haven't heard back from you. You might have something major going on, but just in case, I don't know if I should call the ambulance or the police and have them come by your house, make sure you're okay. You can have fun with it. And I jokingly said that, but I heard her use that on one. And it was the 6th or 7th or 8th time that we call them. They're like, oh yeah, we meant to call you back. So glad you kept in touch. Only 1 out of probably several hundred that we called, and these weren't relationships, these were strangers, but 1 out of several hundred that we called said, quit calling, I'm not doing it. And we're great. We just needed to know that. I will take you off our list. So anyway, it's amazing when you get to do it. We don't do it because we're thinking 3 times in 3 days. I don't know about that. And again, here between connect and cultivate, guys, both of those things are going to lead to an appointment eventually. But what I'm telling you is it's sometime over the next 5 years. So if you really need that immediate business, if you told me, listen, I'm in trouble money-wise, I have to make something happen, then you got to get 500 numbers to call, and you have to call for 5.5 hours every day for the next 5 days until you get your 5 appointments. If your 5 appointments will save your rear and keep your car from getting repoed or something crazy like that, then you got to have 500 numbers. There is no other option. There is no faster way. It is a game. It's a numbers game, right? So the right approach to close for a meeting is the only approach. Ask for it. And you can really just, when you're talking to people that you already know and who know you, that one just kind of slides right in. It's like, yeah, sure, I'll let you come over and give me a value in my house. It's like, you don't have to be selling or anything. Those are even more fun. But with ones that are sellers or appointments or expireds or whatever, it's just like, here's like an expired one might be. So if you could get your price today, would you sell today? And so, well, we didn't get it before. I know, I'm just saying, if you could get it today, would you sell it? It's like, yeah, we would. Then let's just meet and see where that number really is. I'll be the first one to tell you if that number is realistic or not. And if it's not, then, I'll just leave you with the great information and you can go. Well, who's not going to meet you for that, right? So anyway, just that's your close to get that in there when you get that relationship going. So again, this is where they kind of do the role playing stuff on capture, connecting, real play, using scripts. this is where I do want you to go through the book. In fact, I'm asking to get maybe like a Facebook group or something for us on Win with Sellers that we can all talk in between or after the class. Once we get through all this material, it's going to be a lot. And I will put together some stuff that's going to keep this information in front of you for a while after the class, because we're going through it so fast. And like I said, we cover most of this again in Ignite, and that will be another way to keep this in front of you. So anyway, this is just showing you the connect and the cultivate. We've already talked a lot about that. So anyway, that's pretty much chapter 1 out of 8. So tomorrow's going to be fun. How about you guys? Did you have fun?
Yes, of course.
All right, great. Any ahas, anything major, anything big that came out of today that you're like, oh my gosh, that was amazing? Or if it was just okay, I'll take an okay too.
Just I want to learn the touches, the 8x8, the 33 touch plans in Command. I'm really trying to figure those. You know, you say they're in there, so just go in there, and the smart plans are already in there, just waiting for me to.
Yep, check out the library. Check out the library. You're going to have all kinds of 8x8s in there. But before you grab one, you might even just give me a side call and go, hey, I think I found a pretty cool 8x8. What do you think of this one? Right.
Mhm.
Because I have there's a lot of 8x8 and 33 touch plans out there that don't have 8 touches and don't have 33 touches. And or, you know, like the big one that I see is Ben Kenny's 10 Days of Pain. And we're going to talk about that in one of the upcoming chapters. Well, actually, no, we had it in the one before with the 3 and 3 and the 10 Days of Pain. So when I see the 10 Days of Pain that agents share, it's more of 10 days of pain for the person on the receiving end for most of the plans that I see than for the person it was supposed to be a pain to, you. See, Ben Kenny created the 10 days of pain for the people on his team because they actually had to pick up the phone and call them 3 times a day for 3 days straight. That's painful for the person calling. What they do is they take that piece out because nobody's really comfortable doing the calls and calling strangers. I'll just send them emails. So the pain turns into the person on the receiving end. Well, if my potential seller is feeling pain or getting tons of emails blasted to me, they're just going to ignore it. So be careful when you look at the plans. Make sure that there's personal touches in it and make sure it's consistent and persistent. In fact, if it's uncomfortable, like calling somebody, a true 8x8 is 8 touches in 8 weeks. There's a call at week 4 and a call at week 8. So already, if I really spelled that out and said, you meet somebody, you write them a note, you're going to call them in 4 weeks and you're going to call them in 8 weeks because that's what it says to do. If you really think about it, you're like, okay, but what am I going to say in 4 weeks? So that's uncomfortable. There's the pain, right? So if it's a little uncomfortable, it's probably a good plan because it means it's making you pick up the phone and call. And guys, when you guys use this right here, you're going to get more business if you just stick to this before you go to emails and text messages and all that other stuff, mailings. This is what makes us money right here, is talking to them. Because then you can hear things, you hear buying signals, you hear selling signals, and that's how you're going to get the appointment. But we all skip it because it's just so dang hard to pick that handset up off the phone and just call them out of the blue. So don't call them out of the blue. Do what you're doing with the Reconnect plan. Good stuff. All right, guys, I guess I'm going to turn you loose. We went over just a few minutes, which I'm pretty well known for. I packed so much information into these calls, and I'm going to let you go for today. Tomorrow, same time, same channel, and we'll be able to jump right. Keep this whole conversation from today layered in for the next 2 days, and we'll go straight through the material, and I'll just kind of jump in and go, see, that's your master list. Don't forget your master list. Don't forget your master list. But we're going to go through some material a little faster tomorrow. All right. Good stuff. Glad you guys made it.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Brad.
My pleasure.